Hello, everyone. Oh, my sweater. Yes, I'm obsessed. It's a cardigan. I want to get this in every color. The only thing is, it does shed a whole bunch of little black poofy things. So, that's the one downside. Um, okay, we're talking about Big Kid School. I have a bunch of questions and details that I want to go over here and just keep it all in one place. We are on the final countdown for Big Kid School. At the time of this recording, it is May 29th, and we start on June 1st. Okay, so I just wanted to give you all the necessary information, details, anything else that needs to be covered. So let me remind everyone about how it is going to be set up. So this is unlike any container that I've done previously. Most of the time, things are pretty straightforward with a normal mastermind style, Zoom calls, Voxer, that type of thing. And this has those same elements as far as we do have a weekly call and you do get me on Voxer. And the nice thing about this is we also have a member area. So as soon as you get into Big Kid School, it puts you in the member area. And that's where all the videos, replays, info, anything else I want to give you, any supplemental materials that I want to give you, goes in that back end. So you're kind of getting all these different prongs as well as weekly emails for me. So there's a lot of contact, a lot of connection with me directly. That also reminds me, in terms of working with me directly, this is one of the only ways to do it. The other would be Graced. That's my normal mastermind that I run, but this is one of the only ways to work with me directly. So just something to keep in mind. GarageBand is crashing already. Okay. The next thing. Okay, so we get the idea. Every week has a new theme for Big Kid School. And I have a whole variety of different themes that we're going to be working with. Now, the reason why I haven't announced them or I didn't share them publicly is because I don't want to commit to all 12 right now, because I might want to change my mind. I might want to modify them. I might want to incorporate some or fuse a couple together. I might get a new idea, a better idea. And so I wanted to make sure that I did not share them publicly, because I didn't want someone to see something and lock in on it and really, really want that, and then be disappointed if I change my mind or want something better. So I'm deciding not to announce the themes and allow myself to trust, because at this point in time, I have so many themes. I've had to start combining them or modifying them or cutting some out, just because I have more ideas rather than not enough. So let me go down to the list really quick. Someone was asking what the homework is like, or what the assignments are going to be like, and it's a whole mix of things. So the question exactly was, how much of a time commitment is Big Kid School, and what is the homework like? So I just wanted to explain how this is going to go. I'm going to announce the theme for the week. Okay, we're going to get on a Zoom call and we will start figuring out your week ahead. So what kind of activities you're going to want to do for the week ahead, what makes the most sense for your lifestyle, what it is that you're really excited about or you want to try, how much time you're going to be taking for each one of these activities. Some are going to be new additions to your life. Some are going to be stuff you already do. We're just modifying it and being more intentional with it. So back to the time commitment, depending on the theme, that will determine whether or not it's time-based. So for example, we're definitely going to have like an arts and crafts week. That's like obligatory, you know what I mean, for big kids schools. So we have to do that, of course. That's going to be time-based because it's just you doing the activity for a set amount of time each day and connecting with it each day. That would be structured. However, we're also going to have another theme that is going to be more, you working with an archetype. That's as much as I'll say for now. But that is going to be more about your state as you're going out and doing things. So it's more about the energy that you're wanting to embody for the week. I couldn't help but start infusing archetypes into this because people just love it so much. And every time I put archetypes in my classes, it ends up being one of the funnest things that people do. They're so fun to work with. And so I couldn't help myself. I was like, we have to do some archetype work during big kid school because it just changes the energy that you approach things with. And so if we're going into a week where the homework is more like archetype week or character week or something like that, I haven't, again, I'm still shaping it and sculpting it, but that is going to be more of your state. So mapping out your week around that state and around that energy and around that archetype. Okay, we're not going to start with this, by the way. This is more of an advanced week. Some weeks are going to be do what you already do, just do them differently. So it's not exactly a time commitment. It's just that you're doing them differently. So you would be breaking the habit that you have around a certain thing. Like another week that we have will be foodie week. So it's going to be food based and really, really focusing on just being more intentional and curating your experience with food for a whole week, seeing how much you can fall in love with that, enjoy that, make it work for you, feel good about it, and really put that under a magnifying glass or under a microscope. So in that case, it's like, well, we all have to eat food. So you're doing the same thing, you're just doing it differently. You know what I mean? So those are the types of things where it may not take a bunch of time. It's just about your intention, your energy, your focus, how you're doing it, the approach that you're taking. That's actually what ends up shifting. So to answer the time question, it depends. And then the other thing that I'm really committed to is I want to make sure that it works for everyone. So that's my whole job, is making sure that you're doing enough to get the novelty and the benefits without getting overwhelmed. Because I don't want anyone to feel like this is so overwhelming and this is way too much for me. It's not like that at all, because you are the one who makes the commitment to the activities that you choose. So while I'll give you examples and I'll give you ideas and just things to play with, you get to decide your level of commitment to the things. So you get to decide the level of time commitment, the level of, energetic investment that you want to give that particular theme. You can go as deep as you want. And the other thing is we have 3 months together. So it's like some weeks you might want to go all in. You might want to go like really, really big during a particular week. And then if you're going on vacation the next week, you're obviously not going to be able to give a ton of time to the assignments, so to speak. So this is all flexible and meant to work with you. Okay, let me go back to the questions. Oh, another interesting thing about this is one of the only programs that I run where I do everything with everyone. So I am like an active participant in Big Kid School. So I'm going to be doing all of the assignments with you. I'm going to be doing all the projects with you. I'm going to be contributing to a theme. I will absolutely be sending you photos in Voxer. Like I am there with you doing all of the things and sharing as well. So that's something that I find people really enjoy. And the only other program that I do this in where there's like a structured protocol to it is Apex. And so with Apex, same thing. I'm doing the protocol or I'm doing the curriculum with you. And so this is really unique for that reason. Because that's not always the case. If I'm just lecturing, it's not quite the same thing. But this is like we are doing it together. I am in the trenches with you. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, another thing that I wanted to share. This is a great program if you want to do a consumption fast. So I don't want consumption fasting to be the point of this because it's not, and we're going to have a whole week that is dedicated to media specifically. So that's kind of an anti-consumption fast. So we're not going to be 100% not consuming. However, if there was a time where, or if there was a program that would make consumption fasting easier, this would be a time to do it. That is what I'll tell you right now. What I've found in my experiences doing so many rounds of consumption fasts, having a lot of people do them solo, and then also having people in Graced do consumption fasts just on their own, like with their own style. It is so much easier to do a consumption fast when there are other things that you're focusing on and other things that you're doing. Just going into, I'm going to do a consumption fast and there's nothing else to fill in those gaps. That's hard. That is such a difficult way to do a consumption fast. And in my experience, doing Apex is way easier than doing just a consumption fast in Graced or something. However, if you have been interested in fasting or even doing a partial fast, I think that would be really, really complementary with Big Kid School because there's so many activities that you have to choose from that consumption fasting would actually be a lot easier in this container. So, and Big Kid School is longer than a consumption fast. Start to finish, consumption fasts that I do are 2 months. So they're 8 weeks, 6 weeks cold turkey, 2 weeks of reintegration. So that is just something to keep in mind. Okay, I think we talked about the themes, we talked about time commitment, we talked about some of the homework. Let me see if I want to give you anything else about the homework. Well, actually, you know what? It's really going to depend on what your intentions are and what, okay, let me back up for a second. It is less about the tasks or the specific activities, and it's more about exploration and what you want. So the priority with all of this is not like Art Week is a good example. You need to do oil painting this week. Well, I don't actually care if it's oil painting. That's not the purpose of that week, and that's not the purpose of that theme, to get you to do something specific. It's more about you are going to be exploring this area. How do you want to explore it? And then how that comes to be is totally up to you. How much time you spend doing it, I'll make my recommendations, but it's completely up to you how you fulfill that, right? So let me find another one. It's just as I'm looking through all of these, it's it's entirely dependent on your specific intentions and also where you live, what your lifestyle is, right? All of those other factors. So this is why we're playing with themes instead of specific homework, because it's one of those things that specific homework isn't helpful if it's inaccessible to people. And so instead, by broadening it a bit and saying, okay, this is what we're working with this week, what makes sense for you? I'm going to give you a ton of ideas. We're going to be doing so many different things. Some's going to be embodiment based, some's going to be activity based, some is going to be like sprucing up what you already have. Like there's so many different dimensions that we're going to be exploring, that how it manifests for you or how it makes sense to apply it in your life is something that only you can really answer. And my job is to help you sculpt it, figure it out, identify it, and implement it. So that's what we're going to be doing on the calls. It's okay, this is the thing. Here's the ideas. Now, how do you want to bring these to life? And then we're doing that for the week. Oh, there was something else I wanted to mention. So the other thing that is interesting is some of the themes might actually require more planning. So it's like you could spend 3 days planning something and then 1 day where you actually go out and do it and you actually make it happen. And then you spend a day or two planning and then you go out and do it. So even though you may not be doing something high energy each day, you will be coming in contact with it, whether it be through planning, through mapping it out, through executing on those plans, right? All of that stuff is a part of the process. So some are going to be, some will require more planning, and then some can be totally off the cuff. Okay, here is another question that I got, which was basically, this was the question. Do you need other people or can this be done solo? And again, instead of you thinking, will Big Kid School work for me? I want you to think about it in terms of Sydney is laying out the plan, and Sydney's job is to help me apply this in my life. That's my whole job. That's why we're having calls. That's why I'm on Voxer with you, so that I can help you figure that part out. But this is not going to be dependent on factors like whether or not you have friends or whether or not you're alone all the time and you have plenty of solo time, right? It needs to make sense for both, because everyone's going to be dealing with something different. And whether or not people are involved with it, that's entirely up to you. If you want to bring your friends along and you want to have them involved, or you want to, involve your partner in all of the different activities that you're going to be doing, you totally can. If you want your kids to be involved, they totally can. It's entirely up to you. And it's all of your own creation. My job is to facilitate a great container where you get to experience all of the play and you get to have all of the fun. Like my work here is just to help you with that container so that you can really bring wonderful things to life. Okay, here's another question that I got. My eye itches. Can you speak on the balance of new novel experiences and getting out and enjoying and experiencing life and nervous system triggers? Well, it depends on the severity. That's what I'll say. Is there was a time in my life, this is reminding me of a few things. There was a time in my life where stimuli was so, New experiences were so overstimulating to me, and my nervous system was so jacked up that literally the only thing I could do was like watch The Office and play Animal Crossing. So that was my life for a while, but that was such an extreme case. It was like I was stress vomiting and having panic attacks every day. Okay, that was extreme dysregulation that I had to get a handle on. I would not say that the majority of people are dealing with that. And so it's about the amount of activation that you're experiencing. My nervous system was so dysregulated to the point where I wasn't functional for a while. Okay, so that's the extreme side of the spectrum. When we're talking about your nervous system threshold, okay, once you're relatively regulated, and I also want to add this here, that levels of nervous system regulation is something that changes throughout the day, right? Like different things, your nervous system is responding to things all day long. So it's not like the goal for the nervous system is for it to be flatlined and for it to be completely non-responsive, right? That would not be good for anyone. We want it to be responsive to life, and we want it to be active in certain ways because it's communicating to us. And so what I think is being asked here, what I think this question is really about is how do I go out and have new experiences and increase the threshold without it being too much? And honestly, I think it's about just pacing yourself and knowing where to stretch yourself. So another example that I have of this personally is I had a fear of driving for quite a while. I won't say that it was a long time, but I had a few nasty accidents that really made driving difficult and made it very hard for me to feel safe in a car. And it was one of those things that I was just so afraid of that I did not want to drive anywhere. And that meant that I was also limited in what I can go out and experience, and how enjoying myself really looked at that time, when I felt like there was a certain radius that I had to stay within in order to feel safe. And it's like that was something that I couldn't just constantly push myself to the max every single day, because that would be exhausting. That wouldn't be good for me. But pushing myself a little bit, it's just like with lifting weights or practicing anything else. It's like you don't want it to be so activating that it sends you into shock, but you also don't want to never push yourself to the point where your threshold never increases. And so what I will say, how I experience it now when I know that I'm holding my capacity is growing, is when I feel more tired. When I have an experience and then I start to feel tired after, it feels like, oh, my capacity is growing. That was more than what I'm used to holding. And sometimes feeling tired can be an indicator of different things. But what I will say is, it can be, when it comes to something like success or trying new things or pushing yourself, you can have a response that is feeling tired, or maybe a little frazzled. What I'm getting at is there's kind of this sweet spot with stretching your nervous system where it feels like an edge. So maybe it's increasing your stress tolerance a little bit more, or your pleasure tolerance a little bit more, but it's not dysregulating you to the point where it's extremely uncomfortable. And that's something that's really difficult to give clear guidance around, I guess, because it's going to be different for every single person. What's going to stress you out and stretch your nervous system around is going to be completely different for other people. So it's hard for me to give specific examples, but I feel like there's something else that's being asked here. Novel experiences, getting out and enjoying and experiencing life, and nervous system triggers. Okay. The other thing, and this is also something that I've made sure to factor in with Big Kid School, is not dousing people within the first month with the most intense themes. So later we're going to have themes that might be a little bit more demanding. But I want you to get used to it first. Like, you need to acclimate to it before we start getting deep into like some of the technical stuff or things that require more planning. Because if you're not used to it, it's going to be overwhelming, right? And so this is the same idea, where if you're just struggling to get out at all, then you would want to start small. Right? So it would be the difference between just going to a park that you enjoy and breaking your routine, right? That can stretch you a bit. If you're just doing something that you're familiar with but is not normal to you, versus going on a road trip to this national park that's close to you or something like that. That's way, way, way more intense on the nervous system, and that's a bigger trip in terms of novelty than the local park. But both can contribute to the expansion in your nervous system, being able to hold more of that. Let's see, is there anything else I'm going to add here? Okay, I'm just going to summarize Big Kid School. Weekly themes, intentions, and focal points come to you in an email every single week from me. Okay. And the other thing that I'm having people do is actually document. So I'm going to put this in the prep work for Big Kid School, where if you so choose, if you want to document, I want to remind people that that can be a really fun part of the process, where you just see like where you started, what you were trying, and then what happened, and what you discovered, what you fell in love with, what you want to try more of, what's now a regular part of your life, all of that stuff. So that is something that I'm going to be reminding people to do. Then we have a Zoom call every week where I help you map everything out. I explain the theme more in depth, and then we tailor it to your lifestyle. So it's got to work for you. So that is what we do on the call. And then we're actually putting things into practice. So if there's something that requires some planning, then we're on the call together doing the planning. Thank you. If we are focusing on art, I'm just going to use that as a default. If we're focusing on art for the week, we are gathering the supplies. We are looking into different ideas and things that we want to do together, or not together, but you get the idea. What we want to do within the group. Everyone's going to have something different that they want to do. What do you want to try? Is this new? Is it old, but you just haven't picked it up for a while? All of that stuff. And then we're doing it on the call. So the momentum has started, and then that's what we're going to be focusing on for the week. And then all of the replays and supplements, maybe questions, prompts, anything else that I want to add will go in the member area at the back end. And then in terms of time commitment, I have a feeling this is going to fluctuate for people week by week. Some weeks might be really busy, some might be more relaxed. And some of the themes you're really going to enjoy a lot more than others because there's 12 of them. So we have a lot of material to work with. And then that's going to make a difference as well. If you are excited by something and you want to go all in, you can. If you're less interested, you can keep it light. So it's going to be entirely up to you. And then anything else? So we got that, we got the homework. And then you get to decide whether or not other people are involved or not, or it's something you're just doing for yourself. I think that's it. But my intention is that this be one of the most impactful seasons of your life. At least that's my goal. That's my hope for people, is that it establishes such a solid shift in momentum where the goal and the focus completely changes. And then that has a ripple effect on everything else that happens this year and moving into 2024. So I'm super excited for it as well. Because you can imagine, and I wrote a post on this about this on Instagram, it's like we severely underestimate what can happen within a few months and what we can start doing within a few months, what we can make happen, and how our decisions seriously affect us later in good ways. And so a lot of the time, people perceive things as being way farther out than they actually are. And then that creates paralysis. Like, oh no, that seems really far away. And it seems like it's a bit too labor intensive in order for me to start making moves towards it. And so I may as well not. Whereas with this, my philosophy with this is that there is no waiting. It's not like you're going to do this and then cross your fingers and hope for improvement. It's no. Each week we're going to be focusing on actively doing things that are going to contribute to your satisfaction, your fulfillment, your fun, your presence, your enjoyment of life. And so there's none of this waiting, none of this working to get somewhere. And so it's just deeply present, deeply fun. And I feel like there's no way it's not going to have a huge effect. Because when you're committed to that and you're showing up for it every day, of course, it's going to change some things because you're adding so much of that focus and momentum to the point where you get to experience that pivot directly. All right, friends, if you have any more questions, drop a comment. You're welcome to email me, DM me on Instagram if you have any questions about Big Kids School or anything else. All right. Oh, one more thing, one more detail that I like to remind everyone. I never know if I'm going to run a program again until I run it the first time. So this could end up being the only time that I ever run this, or it could become a staple, or it could be something that I only run a few times. I have no clue. So if you really feel the call, I like to remind my audience, I'm like, get it while it's hot, because I don't know what the future holds. And so that is just something to keep in mind. If you feel a strong yes about this, I recommend that you get in just to ensure that you get to have the experience of it, because I just don't know if I'm going to be offering it again. All right, friends, that is all for now. You are welcome to check out the link. It's in my bio. It's in the description box. It's in the show notes. You know the drill. Go check it out. We start June 1st. And that is a wrap, everyone. Thank you so much.